New Lands, by Charles Hoyfort, Part 2, Chapter 37a. That a geosystem is an incubating organism, of which this Earth is the nucleus, but an organism that is so strongly characterized by conditions and features of its own that likening it to any object internal to it is the interpreting of the thing in terms of a constituent, so that we think of an organism that is incompletely, or absurdly inadequately, expressible in terms of the egg-like and the larval and other forms of the immature, a geonucleated system that is dependent upon its externality as, in one way or another, is a very similar, but lesser and included, thing, stimulated by flows of force that are now said to be meteoric, though many so-called meteoric streams seem more likely to be electric, that radiate from the umbilical channels of its constellations, vitalized by its sun, which is itself replenished by the comets, which, coming from external reservoirs of force, impart to the sun their freightages, and, unaffected by gravitation, return to an external existence, some of them even touching the sun, but showing no indication of supposed solar attraction. In a technical sense, we give up the doctrine of evolution. Ours is an expression upon super-embryonic development in one enclosed system. Ours is an expression upon design underlying and manifesting in all things within this one system, with a final designer left out, because we know of no designing force that is not itself a product of remoter design. In terms of our own experience, we cannot think of an ultimate designer any more than we can think of ultimacy in any other respect. But we are discussing a system that, in our conception, is not a final entity, so then no metaphysical expression upon it is required. I point out that this expression of ours is not meant for aid and comfort to the reactionaries of the type of Colonel William Jennings Bryan, for instance. It is not altogether anti-Darwinism. The concept of development replaces the concept of evolution, but we accept the process of selection, not to anything loosely known as environment, but relatively to underlying schedule and design, predetermined and supervised, as it were, but by nothing that we conceive of in anthropomorphic terms. I define what I mean by dynamic design in the development of any embryonic thing. A predetermined, or not accidental, or not irresponsible, passage along a schedule of phases to a climax of unification of many parts. Some of the aspects of this process are the simultaneous varying of parts, with destiny, and not with independence, for their role, or with future coordinations and functions for their goal, and their survival while still incipient, not because they are the fittest relatively to contemporaneous environment, so not because of usefulness or advantage in the present, inasmuch as at first they are not only functionless but also discordant with established relations, but surviving because they are in harmony with the dynamic plan of a whole being, and the presence of forces of suppression, or repression, as well as forces of stimulation and protection, so that parts are held back, or are not permitted to develop before their time.